She was known as the face that launched 1,000 ships. Helen of Troy, the most beautiful woman in the world, whose very existence changed the course of history and ignited one of the greatest wars the world has ever known. But beneath the glory and tragedy, her story is also one of love, betrayal, and the unrelenting grip of destiny. Helen's tale begins in Sparta, where she was born to Queen Leda and King Tyndareus, or so many believed. But her origins were anything but ordinary. Legend says she was the daughter of Zeus, the mighty king of the gods, who disguised himself as a swan to seduce her mother. From the very moment of her birth, Helen was destined to stand apart. Her beauty was unparalleled, said to shine brighter than the sun and enchant all who laid eyes upon her. Suitors from across the Greek world arrived at her doorstep, vying for her hand in marriage. Princes, kings, and warriors all sought to take Helen as their bride. But with so many powerful men competing, her father feared that choosing one would provoke chaos among the others. To prevent bloodshed, Tyndareus devised a cunning plan. All Helen's suitors must swear an oath to protect her and her chosen husband, no matter what. Helen married Menelaus, the king of Sparta, and for a time she lived peacefully as his queen. But peace, it seems, was not Helen's destiny. Across the sea in Troy, Prince Paris, young, reckless, and handsome, was chosen by the gods to judge who was the fairest among them. Hera, Athena, and Aphrodite each offered bribes, but it was Aphrodite's promise that sealed his fate. The love of the most beautiful woman in the world. Paris accepted, and Aphrodite guided him to Helen. When Paris arrived in Sparta, Helen's life changed forever. Some say she fell in love with him willingly, struck by Aphrodite's spell. Others claim she was abducted, taken against her will. But regardless of how it began, Helen and Paris fled together to Troy, leaving Menelaus humiliated and enraged. The oath sworn by Helen's suitors was called upon, and thus, Greece united under one banner to bring her back. Led by Agamemnon, brother of Menelaus, 1,000 ships set sail for the city of Troy, their hearts burning with vengeance. The Trojan War lasted 10 long years. For a decade, the world's greatest heroes clashed on the battlefield. Achilles, Hector, Odysseus, each fighting for their own reasons, but all drawn into the orbit of one woman. Helen lived within the walls of Troy. Her role in the war, a source of bitter debate. Was she a victim of fate? A pawn in the gods' games? Or did she bear responsibility for the bloodshed that followed her? To the Greeks, she was a symbol of betrayal, the woman whose infidelity had tarnished their honor. To the Trojans, she was a prize, a jewel worth protecting at any cost. And to herself, perhaps Helen was all these things and none of them. She moved through the gilded halls of Troy like a shadow, her beauty both a blessing and a curse. The war reached its climax with the famous ruse of the Trojan horse. The Greeks feigned retreat, leaving behind a massive wooden horse at the gates of Troy. Believing it to be a gift, the Trojans brought the horse inside, unaware that Greek soldiers hid within its hollow belly. Under the cover of night, the Greeks emerged and brought the city to ruin. Troy burned, its walls crumbling under the weight of betrayal and fury. Helen's fate after the war depends on which version of the myth you choose to believe. Some say she was taken back to Sparta by Menelaus, who forgave her and restored her as his queen. Others claim she fled, wandering the earth in search of sanctuary. There are even tales that suggest she ascended to Mount Olympus, granted immortality by the gods who had orchestrated her fate from the beginning. But one question lingers. Who was Helen of Troy truly? Was she a helpless victim caught in the tides of divine wrath? Or was she a woman who made choices that, like ripples on the water, grew into waves of devastation? Her beauty was her power, yet it was a power she did not ask for. A power that cost her, and countless others, everything. Helen of Troy is more than a legend. She is a mirror, reflecting humanity's deepest desires and flaws. Her story reminds us that beauty can inspire greatness, but it can also destroy. That love can build bridges, but it can also burn them. And most of all, that the line between fate and free will is often blurred. Helen may have lived thousands of years ago, or perhaps she never lived at all. But her legacy endures, as eternal as the stars.